So I've saved the best for last. Actually, it's the worst. The situation, that is. Now, my audience is around 72% male and 28% female. But this presentation is not catered to a specific gender, and it is not really going to be about what women are doing wrong necessarily, but how, by design, they are also being broken down like the men in our society. I will tell you that after 2019, 2020, when people started losing their jobs, their homes, their lovers, their marriages, some lost their lives, there was a spike in miscarriages, the deterioration of health, an increase in masculinity, hypergamy, and polygamy. All these things and more have accelerated the breaking down of the society of women today. We've already discussed estrogenics to some degree, something that affects both men and women. We can actually start there with toxicity if you want. These poisons that are all around us are having a profound effect on the population. Estrogenics, too much estrogen for a female, that leads to weight gain and eventually cancer. But I do want to focus our time on something I believe is the greatest challenge facing women today, and that is more spiritual in its form. We are going to talk about this and more to wrap up this discussion on men and women in a collapsing society. So, of course, the first problem we have here is the declining health of the overall population. Now, estrogenics is just a fraction of the problem. Even if you knew what your testosterone or estrogen levels were at the moment of testing, which would be a blood test, saliva, or urine test, you would then have to discover what would be causing your levels to be too low or too high. It could be genetics, it could be also diet, exercise, and exposure to toxins, things you need to be on top of anyways. Listen, the obesity rate of both men and women are increasing. It's already over 40%. And people are getting fatter inch by inch. At least that is the stat here in the US. That's not good. There are many women who have taken the Vsauce and may now have a different host of issues as time goes on. We're talking about circulation problems, heart issues, pregnancy and reproductive issues, cancer, not to mention cases of autoimmune disorders. The number of people whose lives have changed because of this is staggering. I see and watch the reports. It's happening. Now, aside from health issues, like I said before, women have a bigger problem, but it is not a problem that most people would consider. It is not something you will hear come up in conversation when discussing the problems women are facing today, unless it's a conversation about spirituality. And what I am getting at here, to put it bluntly, women have a problem with demons. There is no doubt about it. I want you guys to think about the days of Noah. If you were a man with a wife back then, not only did you have to consider that your wife could possibly commit adultery with another man, but you had to consider that your wife might possibly commit adultery with a fallen angel. Noah's father, Lamech, had that problem, remember? He was all worried that his wife was with a fallen angel because of what Noah looked like when he was born. Can you guys imagine having to worry about something like that? Well, that hasn't really changed. The Watchers, the ones that actually physically impregnated women in the biblical narrative, they are bound in the earth. But you still have the fallen armies of Satan. So there are plenty of fallen angels, and you have the spirits of the Nephilim, or evil spirits or demons, to accompany them. There is a reason I did that presentation on aposematic traits, the expression of demonic influence. Not by chance is the possessed body essentially female, wrote Michael de Certeau in 1975. Few since have disagreed. Up to the close of the last century, studies of early modern demonic possession were dominated by psychoanalytic perspectives. And it seems fair to say that such perspectives are more than usually likely to produce an association between possession and the female body. Scholars such as John Damos, Lyndall Roper, Robin Briggs, and Stephen Connor were no crude Freudians, and often preferred Melanie Klein's emphasis on motherhood to de Certeau's Lacanian prioritization of language. But they were all working within a tradition, derived ultimately from Freud's predecessor, Jean-Martin Charcot, that viewed possession through the lens of hysteria, and despite regular attempts to extend it to male patients, hysteria remains fundamentally associated with femininity. Hysteria remains fundamentally associated with femininity. Now, I bring this up because although there are many things I could discuss about the fall of women, this is having more of a profound effect on women than most people realize. So, when you have a society where the men are feminized and are caused to separate from the women, women are left alone to be influenced and exploited like Eve on that one fine day. That is what happens when women are left alone and they haven't established any personal protection from these spirits. I'm not talking about crafty things like burning sage to ward off evil. No, that will attract it to you, because the spirits can already see that you're superstitious. And some of them who don't know God are just left to call upon these other deities. Now, some would argue that something like the divine feminine, the worship of female deities, goddesses, was done as some form of ancient feminism to express the omnipresence of masculine and feminine energies. Actually, it's about sex. Don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. That is what it has always amounted to right before the end. You just look at history to see what is happening today. It's unworship, which means it's about worshiping yourself, the earth, the moon, and everything else but God. Now, everyone had that choice, right? Hey, you don't have to worship anything. God gives you that choice, or people take that option. But what everyone forgets is that there are dark forces surrounding us who don't care what you believe in. The way they see it, you either worship God or you're going to worship them. And they will work on you until the end of your days. And your children are next. Ladies, these dark entities use you as weapons against men. And they send you out to poison the minds of other females. That's what they do. These spirits, they spend all day messing with women because they know if they can get them, then they can use them to get men. I tell you guys all the time, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything we see happening in our society today with men and women, it happened already. But apparently, nobody learns from history. Everybody just keeps wanting to do their own thing, and they wonder why things keep falling apart at the seams. Now, when it comes to these spirits, how many of you think that they can operate through our technology? They don't have to wait around for the night to go sneaking around whispering in your ear. They can influence women through social media, it will make you lust for attention, money, and fame. And once they've gotten a hold of you, they will lure you into the darkest corners of the Twilight Zone. Speaking of which, there's a TV show out called Evil, which is about a team of investigators looking into cases of demonic possession. One of the episodes is called The Demon of Algorithms, about a mother who tries to look into demonic ways a viral app called TikTok is terrorizing her family. So it's no big secret. People do know what's up, folks. Seriously, the way things are going in this world, it is no surprise that there is an increasing amount of women who are taking their business online. Dating apps, sugar baby sites, OnlyFans, Snapchat, sometimes TikTok, live streams on sites like Twitch. And look, I am not dead set against using the internet for these purposes, but you need to, of course, hold yourself accountable for however you use these platforms. You know, recently, we've yet again have another example floating around on the internet about a female social media influencer who makes well over $1 million a month, who apparently is in an abusive relationship and now wants out of the relationship. Maybe. Yeah, I'm talking about Amaranth. If you don't know who that is, who it is not as important as the example here. There is plenty of content on the internet about her. I've known about her since I started YouTube. So she's been on the internet for quite a while. In the beginning, when I was diving for video game content, she was one of the content creators at the top of Twitch. Now, people in the gaming community didn't really appreciate it, that she was sitting at the top of the platform based on her looks, and not because she was good at playing video games, which was the initial purpose for the video game platform. So, when you have 15, 16, 17-year-old boys logging on to watch their favorite gamer, they got Amaranth chatting, wearing something revealing, and of course, the more men that tuned into her content, the more requests she received. Then comes the ultimate lure, OnlyFans. What people have used that platform for is beyond destructive. Caitlin Amaranth Saragusa has found tremendous success as a streamer, earning over $1 million a month through her various business ventures. She has also created some of the most bizarre metas of the medium. Beyond these achievements, Amaranth has a tragic history filled with obsessive fans and personal struggles. Adding to these challenges, Amaranth claimed in a recent live stream that she's actually married and that the relationship is fraught with problems. The first clip shows Amaranth speaking to a man on the phone who she identifies as her husband. She accuses him of threatening to kill her dogs after she refused to do a 24-hour stream. The man tells her to leave the house and calls her a liar. Amaranth starts to cry as the man yells at and berates her, threatening to throw her out again. In the second clip, a visibly upset Amaranth opens up about her marriage, claiming that she'd hidden the relationship because her husband didn't want to make it public. I mean, let's just stream together and just tell them that we're married, because it's like our marriage would be better if we just streamed it instead of fighting all the time, says Amaranth. According to her, her husband believed that revealing their marriage would damage the profitability of her channel. The clip continues with the streamer making several disparaging comments about her husband. In the third clip, Amaranth states that her husband maintains control of her accounts. She alleges that he uses this to keep her tracked and that he constantly cycles between good behavior and threats and insults. During the final clip, Amaranth shows off a series of threatening text messages that she says came from her husband, with the threats ranging from deleting her socials to depleting her bank account. Okay, so everyone knows that sex sells, and so that is what her platform's growth is built around. It's really video game streams, some hot tub, car wash, bikini stuff. Not all the time. Sometimes it's ASMR or chatting, but you get the idea. I think she started by making costumes. Think about this, folks. She started off with costumes and doing cosplay for live streams on Twitch. Then one thing led to another. Of course, that's how the lure works, you see? And she ended up on OnlyFans doing hardcore content with a male performer, also being married at the same time. Folks, these two were not in a marriage, just some agreement that ran its course. If you watch the live stream that she recorded of him yelling at her, if you have a brain, you can clearly see that the media never tells you the whole story. And she wasn't lying, but she did lie to the public about being single for profit. So, to be fair, she did manipulate the live stream to expose him to her audience. To me, Amaranth has always seemed to be like the troubled actor. Everything you see on the outside is, of course, a fabricated persona. So, what viewer, knowing this, like myself, in their right mind, would be entertained by watching someone else in misery? And this is what a lot of women online are, troubled. I'm telling you guys, gals, these platforms are controlled by forces that we can't fully comprehend. The metadata on these platforms is structured in such a way that it causes deviation. These spirits work on women, and they also work on men, like the thirsty men who have nothing better to do than to spend around $2 million a month. Because remember, the hosting platform like OnlyFans, they get 20%. And these men spend this money to see a married woman look cute. And yes, some fans already knew she was married, or at least in a relationship a long time ago. That was no secret. Back in 2014-15, it was mostly rumored, but I guess ignorance is bliss and some men don't care. So here we are, and the devil wins again. Another relationship, partnership, business arrangement, or marriage destroyed by the countenance for mankind's pimps and hoes structure, based on ages of demonic influence. But there is a happy ending to this if we can catch it while it's still in its infancy, and know better not to get caught up and influenced into being a pimp or a hoe. But I think this type of life for some has already shifted into its momentum phase. That's all for now, folks. That's really going to wrap up my opening thoughts on men and women, marriage, the relationships between them, and the devil. Stay tuned. There is much more to come. Be sure to visit woodwardentertainment.com and the Woodward Entertainment Store. You can follow me on Instagram at JAEWoodward. Everyone have a great day, and until next time, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.